All right, hello students. For those of you who don't already know me, I'm Professor Chin. I'm really looking forward to working with you this semester. If all goes as planned, you'll be able to have access to this video about a week or so before the start of the new semester, and I'll send that out in an email where I include some of what I'm going to say here in written form as well, and I'll attach the syllabus to that message as well. If you have access to our site on Canvas, the syllabus has already been up there, and there's some other, kind of supplementary resources that are available there as well. If you don't have access to the Canvas site yet, that's not the end of the world. My understanding is that that is the case for some folks. IT is kind of working through that. I'm not sure what their timeline or methods exactly are, but if you don't have access to all of that by the beginning of next week, the first week of the semester, that's where there is some cause for concern, and please let me know what's going on, and we'll try to troubleshoot that with IT together. But hopefully everyone who's registered for the course will have access at that point, and we can kind of just proceed as normally as we can during these times of the pandemic, with the class as I have it planned. So the way this class will work in general is we'll have classes go up on Monday and Wednesday. When I say class goes up, that means I will post a discussion board. It will usually include a video lecture along these lines where I'm just kind of going over the preceding reading that was due for that day, as well as some housekeeping notes about assignments that are coming up. It's sort of like a lecture that I would give you if we were in person for class. The tricky thing is, the way that I usually run class is very discussion based. So I would never lecture at you for an hour and 15 minutes, and so I don't record videos that are an hour and 15 minutes long. Instead, I actually try to keep them to 20 minutes or less. Occasionally, they might go over. Sometimes I just get really kind of wrapped up in talking about something, and I just keep going on. But my intention is for them never to go much over 20 minutes, and sometimes they'll even be short. So they'll be closer to 10 minutes even. But with that, I'll give you a video lecture. I'll post that Mondays and Wednesdays. So that will go up no later than noon on those Mondays and Wednesdays whenever we're in session, whenever there's not a holiday or otherwise a recess for the university. And then you'll have about 48 hours to participate. It'll be until noon 2 days after. So, for example, typically Monday I would post a video lecture and a discussion board no later than noon that Monday. You'd have until Wednesday noon. So usually it's more than 48 hours because, again, if I post it before noon on Monday and it's not due until noon on Wednesday, you have 48 hours plus whatever extra time that I posted early. For some students, I know this is very intuitive. It's not really an issue just to keep up on, watching video lectures and doing discussion boards and doing readings and so on and so forth. For some students, I know this structure has been a challenge in the past, just kind of reminding yourself to keep doing it. And because I am grading the discussion board participation, I'm keeping track of your participation. You can quickly fall behind if you do forget about it. Usually my recommendation is just put something on your calendar. This course is asynchronous. It's kind of built so you can do it on your own time. I know many of you have work schedules you're competing with. Obviously, you have other classes. Some of you have childcare responsibilities, looking after your own children or younger siblings or things like that at home during this, again, unusual time of the pandemic. So it's based around the idea that I don't expect for you to necessarily be able to be on a computer and paying full attention at a specific time consistently. So rather letting you schedule that around your own schedule and make that work for yourself. So I've had a lot of students who have some success saying, okay, I know it's going to go up by noon on Monday and Wednesday, so I'm just going to put it on my calendar. I'm going to schedule that 1 o'clock Monday and Wednesday. I know for sure the lecture will be up by then. I'll just plan to have a dedicated half hour to an hour on my computer at that time to watch the video lecture, to add a comment, to read some of my peers' comments, and then you're basically done for that class. There's more to the class in general, but for that class session, you'll be done. One other note I should make before I go too much further on, just because I know this can definitely be a point of confusion, especially at the very beginning of the semester. So what would ordinarily be our first day, this coming Monday, is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So there is no class. The university is officially closed on that day, so I will not be posting a video lecture or discussion then. So really we start this semester off with just Wednesday, only one class session for this week. After that point, though, expect that every week there will be 2 class sessions, Monday and Wednesday. There'll be a very small handful of exceptions that we'll get into as we come up to them in the semester, but count on that as the norm. Every Monday and Wednesday, the new classes will go up, and again, you'll have about 48 hours to participate in them. That first class session, again, we won't have one this coming Monday because of the holiday, but we will have one on Wednesday. I'm going to go over the syllabus in much more detail. Again, so for this video, my intention is just to go over real fundamentals and kind of key things that you kind of need to know going into the semester. And then we'll drill into more stuff about assignments and readings and expectations and all of that going forward in the next ones. But okay, to touch a little bit further on the mechanics of attendance and engagement and participation and whatnot, my expectation is you leave at least one substantive comment in the discussion for each discussion board post that I put up. Usually, again, it'll be a video lecture. Occasionally, there'll be exceptions to that. But you have at least one comment. Some days there will be multiple readings due. You only need to have one comment overall. It can be about any of the readings. You're welcome to leave more than one. I appreciate when people want to participate more than just the minimum. But the minimum is there for what it is. It's what's required of you. You don't need to participate more than that for the sake of your grade. So everyone has up to 4 absences to work with without penalty. So life happens, right? I know there might be an occasion when you just forget the class was posted, where you're really busy, where your internet goes down, or where you have some sort of medical issue come up. All kinds of things can happen. 4 absences means it's 4 classes, typically 2 weeks worth of class that you can miss without real penalty. In terms of participating in the discussion boards, personally, I think that's fairly generous. So the way that it works is there's 10 points overall attached to engagement and participation. That's 10% of your grade, 100 points, 100%. That's, I think, pretty straightforward. So if you miss more than 4 classes, that's where you'll start to lose significant credit. So if you miss 4 or fewer classes, you can expect to get at least 8 out of 10. That 8, 9, or 10 out of 10 is up to my discretion based on the quality and quantity of your participation. But if you miss more than that, that's where you start to lose 2 points off the top of your participation score from there. So if you miss more than 12 classes total, at that point you're really missing 6 weeks of class. That's a lot of time, right? In a in-person class, you feel pretty estranged, pretty alienated from the class if you miss that much time. So similarly, if you miss more than 12 classes overall, that's where it becomes really punitive. That's where generally you will not pass the class at that point. I always kind of put caveats in there, like generally and in most cases and so on and so forth, because I welcome you to reach out to me and be in touch if extraordinary circumstances do come up. I can only be so flexible, but if I know what's going on in your situation, if we're communicating back and forth, we can often find solutions to make up for some lost ground if you kind of fall behind on something, and to make sure you have the maximum chance of succeeding in the class. But okay, so other kind of just odds and I'm just going over some nuts and bolts pieces here because I found that my first video lecture tends to be really long if I try to cover everything there. I want to keep that one manageable. I want to keep this one to 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes max. So I'm going to go over get some more kind of real kind of basic nuts and bolts pieces, and then I'll leave you alone for now. But most classes will be rooted in at least one specific reading. So if you go in the syllabus, the last section of it is a course schedule. So I've laid out throughout the semester all of the readings that are due. It's possible that I will remove a very small handful of them as we go if I kind of see that we aren't going to have time to discuss something fully, or I don't feel it's going to benefit the course based on the direction the discussion has gone in, or so on and so forth. But if you know that you're going to be really busy time ahead, you can plan ahead and read ahead, so on and so forth. If you're really eager to go and you don't have anything going on right now, you can start your reading for the semester now, for all I care, as long as you have the textbook for the class. There will also be some PDFs of readings. Most of them are already posted to Canvas, so you have access to them at your leisure. You can access those as well. But the date that the reading is listed is the day I expect you to have read that by. So by that class session, that's when I'll be discussing it. So you should have read that reading already when you watch that video lecture, when you go into that discussion board. A big component of this class, in addition to the discussion board, a separate piece, is reading response journals. So I do ask you to keep keep a reading response journal where you respond to the readings. And I'll be honest, this part, there is some degree of redundancy between this and the discussion board because of the online format that we're working in. When we're in person, it's a much more discrete, separate part where I have you journaling, I have you, speaking in person. We could easily tell the difference between them. There's more overlap between the written online discussion and the journaling that you'll do. But I encourage you to use the journal to express or explore ideas that maybe you're not as comfortable getting into with the whole class, or if there's a very specific moment in the reading that really draws your attention. Basically, the purpose of these reading response journals is just to digest the reading more for yourself, to probe specific pieces of it that are of interest to you that maybe wouldn't be of interest to the rest of the class, right? Because when we do the video lectures, I'm going to give you some leading questions and points that I think are interesting to focus on. You might have focused on something really differently that you want to journal about. So I generally recommend that the workflow go, you do the reading, you do your response journal, then you watch my video lecture, then you participate in the discussion board. And I'll rehash that a lot as we go on in the semester. But for these reading response journals, again, your opportunity to engage with the reading a little bit more. Also, just your opportunity to prove to me you've done the reading, right? So if you're not as active in the discussion board, if you're kind of only giving that one comment and maybe it's to a tangential question or something that doesn't really directly deal with the reading, you can still demonstrate to me you have done the reading and done so in a thoughtful way. These can be really short. I'm looking really for just a paragraph or two. About a half-page double-spaced is a good rule of thumb. It could definitely be shorter than that. I care more about quality than quantity in this case. It's not meant to be an essay. If you're someone who's kind of long-winded in your writing, like I personally am, if you want to go on for longer, I'm not going to penalize you for it, but just know all I really expect is, again, roughly a half-page double-spaced for those reading response journal entries. The other thing that can be confusing about them is for the Honors 100 class, I only assign 10 reading response journal entries. For the Honors 110 class, I only assign 15 reading response journal entries. If you look through the course schedule, you'll see there's a lot more reading than that. That is purposeful. Basically, the reason there are fewer journals than there are readings assigned is because I recognize that sometimes, again, life is going to happen. Maybe you don't have the opportunity to complete readings for one of the days, or maybe you do the reading, but you just have a really hard time wrapping your head around it to the point where I don't know what I'm going to journal about with this reading here. That you can skip that one if it doesn't work for you, or if you're just really busy with other classwork, for example. All of these are valid reasons to not complete a journal entry for a specific day. You can skip certain ones. You can be strategic about it around when you'll be busy in the semester, as long as you hit that minimum number that's assigned to you. So again, for Honors 100, 10 total entries. For Honors 110, 15 entries. You will have met your obligation. You'll get full credit for this aspect of the course. This is a part of the course where generally no news is good news. If you're just turning them in and I'm giving you completes on these, it's either complete or incomplete. If I'm giving you completes, that means you're doing it, you're meeting my expectations, you're on route for full credit. If I give you an incomplete, or if I give you a complete but give you a note in the comments where I say, I gave you credit, but you didn't really do what I wanted you to do in this journal entry, that's something that you can take and work with from there. But no news is good news. So if I don't give you comments or extensive feedback, that doesn't mean that it's a bad entry or I'm not interested. It just means I've got 80 some out of these to grade each week, and so I don't give comments for every single one. With the journal entries, I encourage you to do them on a rolling basis. Again, that workflow of do the reading, do the journal entry, upload the journal entry, then watch my video lecture, then do the discussion board. If you do it in that kind of flow, I think it stays pretty manageable. In general, I don't recommend you spend more than 10 minutes on a journal response. Even if you're doing only 5 minutes or so, that's fine with me. In fact, I kind of encourage you to spend that 5 to 10 minute range between writing it and uploading it. I know some people just need more time, so that's why I'm not overly prescriptive, but just to give a general sense of what I'm looking for and the level of this assignment. With that, I will accept journal entries without penalty until the last day of class. So you do have some leeway there if you fall behind, or if you forget to upload one or two of them. You don't need to apologize. We don't need to scramble to do late credit or making up an entry or whatnot. You can still submit them later on, but I encourage you not to wait until the end. Every semester, I have some students who clearly waited till the end, and it goes from being something that took 5 to 10 minutes on a rolling basis to all of a sudden this thing they spent 5 hours on the last week of class that became an overwhelming thing to try to manage. But okay, I know that that's a bunch I've already given you. I don't mean to overwhelm anyone. It's more, I'm the kind of person who likes to have more information rather than less. So I'm making this video available to you now. So I appreciate those of you who've watched it before the class even starts. I'll go over some of this some more in our video lecture for the first class. In the meantime, though, please feel free to email me on an individual basis to connect, ask questions, clarify anything, and rest assured that there'll be much more clarity about all of this as we get into the actual semester itself. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed these final few days of your winter break. Really excited to work with everyone, and I'll see you all next week.